Hello, folks. Welcome to Follow Everton. This is the match reaction for Everton 1, Manchester City 3. I've got my brother Steve. I've also got my other brother David with Steve in the same room next to each other. We've just got back in from Goodison Park. This is an authentic match reaction, and there's so much to talk about. Um, a really difficult result to take, Steve, in part by the manner of the goals. Everton getting themselves ahead through that work rate, and then eventually succumbing to some of the most ridiculous goals you'll ever see: a near post strike, a penalty, which we'll come into, and a very late but ridiculous kind of self-inflicted goal. Um, Steve, your gut reaction to that result?
Um, Sickening to see the game turn based on the penalty decision. But I think City were the better side for that game, and I don't think that we can really look at it and go, we really deserved any more than getting kind of defeated. And 3-1 wouldn't flatter City at all. They probably should have won 5 or 6-1 if we look at the chances in the first half, them hitting the bar towards the end or the post. There's a lot to dig into here, but when we scored, it was against the run of play, Ryan. I think it gave us a bit of a false position at half time. I don't think we actually competed that well for the first 30 minutes in the game and gave a lot of respect to City. Um, but the goal kind of galvanised the team, and then we went into half time, arguably the better side. I mean, we went in at probably a time when Everton probably were really growing into the game. Unfortunately, I didn't see some of the second half action due to the post in the lower Bullens. I did a this is why we need to move ground. But I didn't see the Pickford thing. I just saw the ball in the net, which just sums up Goodison. Um,
David, you sat there laughing. I'm going to come to you. We don't feel too disheartened by the result. I think the work rate from Everton was there. There was a clear determination to get something from the game, and I think the Pickford sucker punch late on. What are your thoughts on that match, very swiftly and precisely before we divulge? How are you feeling coming out of Goodison?
I'm disappointed. I thought at 1-0, Everton's record this season is all wins from games where they've gone ahead in. And I think, you've got some hope there that you get something to cling on to. Because as Stevie said, we weren't really the better side for that 30 minutes. We were in the contest, but we were hanging on at times. And I think, we got the goal against the run of play. The crowd are up. And I think we had a good moment for 10 minutes, and then it just all settled down, and then it was half time. You really thought you needed that second goal. It nearly came at the corner. Harrison outside of his foot, and Edison tipped it over. But that was the chance we had to make it 2-0. After that, we didn't really make any other chances in the game. And I said to you in the ground, we had to be 100% today. We couldn't give anything up. We had to play our best game. And we didn't really play our best game, and City did play their best game. And I think ultimately that came to the top. But I think the decisions is what's really frustrating, isn't it? And that first goal,
Mm.
Pickford
Come to
appears.
that big detail in a moment.
I
Okay,
thought
Uh,
so. You hit the nail spot on there, David, because I think that if Harrison scores that goal, we're going to defend that lead. We are going to fight for our lives. There was there was something about me that actually thought, based on what you said, right, I thought maybe we could defend a 1-0 lead, but it was always going to be a tall order, and we needed to get the second, and it wasn't really coming. I actually thought that despite the work rate, City were a good few notches above us in terms of quality and their professionalism. Yes, some of their players were down and they crowded the referee and things like that, but they were quite good in this game. City.
I don't think they were exceptional, but I think they were City. They passed it really well. They've got
Didn't
players.
give the ball away at
They
all, did
didn't give
they?
it away. They've got players of really high technical quality. The ball comes in, they just control it with ease and then pass it off. So it's really difficult to get the ball off them. We did try to press them. We set traps and we pressed them when it came to the ball going out wide. And I think the goal came from a bit of a pressure where
Mm.
the ball came out and we won the ball back. Yeah, that was from pressurized moments, and it makes you think, can you do
That was a
more of that?
mistake, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but it was because we pressed them. But then there's moments where we pressed them and we really struggled, and the ball came in transition because they play such an odd formation. It's like it's a back four, but it's actually three because Stones or Akanji, they play in midfield and they're hard to pick up. And it's like who goes with who?
It's very fluid.
Very difficult to get them, and I think that's eventually
Technically
why
very good,
we
David.
switched to the back five in the end because we tried to go a bit more man for man.
They're technically superior to us. We were chasing shadows for a lot of that first half, and it kind of told in the end. Like, I think City, they came from behind. They won 3-1. They probably could have easily won 5-1. I think it was a good performance from their point of view.
Say that I actually think Everton, for large spells, were the better team in a different way. The way we controlled the situations to stop Man City having shot after shot. I think the first half, I don't think they created an awful lot. They had a couple of chances. You'd expect that for a side of Man City, but as did we. I think that City had a lot of opportunities from outside the box where they blazed over. They didn't create many clear-cut chances. I think I always know in these games, if we drop deep, we get bodies behind the ball, it's going to be a goal from outside the box or a penalty. And yet again today, I was proven right. But I think Everton, for large spells, I was kind of comfortable with the way we're defending, the way we got players around the ball. We tried to set up traps for City in that first half. I thought we pressed a lot better, and the goal was a nice goal to get from a City mistake, and it possibly was the main route, apart from a set piece, of getting one. Could we have got another one? I think so, but we've come out in the second half. Man City have changed the style, and they've got the 3 goals. So let's talk about the first goal, Everton's first goal, Dave. He slips. The City players are protesting. There's a bit of a tangle with Beto. It's never a foul. And the ball is played nicely across the box. I can't remember who got the assist, but Harrison tucks home.
McNeil did the assist, Ryan.
Very clean goal, Dave, wasn't it? And at that moment, are you thinking Everton can go on and win this game, or you just kind of think this is a bit of a lucky transitional goal?
Well, I was thinking this is a step for us to get in the game because I don't think we were doing that much up to that point. Yeah, we were containing City. When I say containing, that doesn't mean
we were riding our luck.
Weren't giving them chances. They're a team of high-class individuals who will create dozens of chances in most games. If you can keep the score, which is the important thing, low, then you've got a chance. And we scored that goal. You're thinking, yes, 1-0. Crowd are up. As I said before, our record for going ahead is really good. But I think to be honest, I think there's a lot of games in succession, and I think that it is taking its toll a little bit. And this was a tough game, chasing
The squad isn't
90 minutes.
You're playing Spurs and then City within
no
4 days.
Ghana Gay and no Decore as options in the midfield. Onana really didn't have the best game, and you're just looking and you can think, how are you going to take him off? Well, I can't take him off.
But they had Haaland out, and they had a lot of injuries themselves.
De Bruyne and Haaland are arguably the best players.
They are the best. Let's not make excuses for it. Everton in our first half.
Stones got a trickle of applause. It was kind of a bit of a mixed applause from some fans who kind of wanted to see him off, and other fans were just like, yeah, you're ex-Everton and you've not done any harm.
It was a respectful applause, but I don't think anyone truly gave 2 hoots.
Respectful, but it was a cricket applause.
I think most people know he's been under a lot of injury problems, so
I don't really care about John Stones. I gave a muted sort of sympathetic clap, but I couldn't care less. What I do care about, though, is Everton surrendering a 1-0 lead from a position of authority at home, looking really comfortable in the defensive phase of the game, stopping Man City from creating a lot of chances, going in at half-time. And then the complete change in mentality. Did we stop pressing City? Because it looked like we stopped pushing up quite high and we were sitting off them a bit more. What do you think, Steve? Did we give City that momentum to ultimately then get that chance, which led to that first goal from Phil Foden? Or do you think it's just a moment of brilliance? And because City were getting a lot of joy down the right-hand side with Bernardo Silva getting balls across, they arguably could have scored 2 or 3 in that sort of 10-minute spell where it was cleared from the 6-yard box by Tarkowski. Was that just rewards for knocking on the door, or did Everton sit off them a bit too much?
It was almost like the performance from Everton was going to be where City needed to score something from the outside of the box, because we were kind of doing quite well with our, defending inside the box. We were riding our luck. I mean, we should have been a goal down. Pickford made a beautiful double save with his feet in the first half early on, and I thought we were riding our luck. for much of that game, for much of that
I
first
remember
half. I was down in the
other end.
other
they should have
end,
scored that.
and I can tell you it was like ping pong
Yeah.
around our box, and City could have scored at least a couple of goals. That was a very big chance. So we definitely went in against the run of play, and then when we started the second half, I felt like we just weren't quite with it.
But
The second,
we had a header from we had a couple of opportunities down our end as well. Steve, let's talk about that goal, Phil Foden, on the interest of time, not so we're on all night, but Phil Foden, the strike, Pickford, to me and David were a bit unhappy with Pickford getting beaten at the near post. I know he was unsighted and saw it late, but is he too far over to the right? David, maybe I'll come to you on this actually, just because you were closer
did
to
you
it.
see it more clearly than me?
Well, we
Because
were
I just
behind
saw
the
the
goal.
ball flash across and go in.
We were behind the goal.
The goal was behind the post for me again.
Personally, as I was seeing it, it looked like it was in slow motion because you see the ball is always going in the corner, but Pickford seemed to be really far over to the right. I'll have to see a replay, but for me, from what I was reading, was he went to the right because he couldn't see through the body's legs, so he took a step to view it, but by the time the shot had come, it was quite a pacey shot. It was in the
If he'd have
net.
stayed
Been
where he
quite far
was,
out. How far out
I
was
mean,
it? I've not seen a replay
it
of
was
that.
just on the edge of the box, I think.
22 yards.
To be honest, I think City
I
were
was shocked it
proven
went.
at this point. I think after half time they really did try to exploit the wide areas because we play a narrow formation, try and protect the box, and I think they started overloading 2, 3 players getting into between the centre back and the full back, and a player also on the outside of our full back, and I think they got a lot of joy, particularly down the Mykolenko side. In those gaps, they had 3 or 4 chances just before that Foden maneuvered his space, and there's a sea of bodies, and I think it's very clever from Foden actually to just see Pickford out of his way and just strike it cleanly into the corner.
I don't
And
think Pickford was deliberately, and so I think it was just the nature of a lot of players behind the ball. I do agree with what you're saying, David, and I think that's a pertinent point there. City exposed the gap between the centre half and the fullback, because they kept the wingers very wide, and we didn't know whether to go out and match the winger or stay and tuck in narrow. And obviously, I'll expand on that in a moment, but it leads to a goal from the set piece. The ball comes out to Foden. Pickford, as you said, takes a step to his right. I didn't notice that, but we saw it the whole way, and it was in the minute it left the spoot, but it was almost like you'd want your goalkeeper to save it because of it's outside the box, it's at the near post, and you can see it. But obviously he couldn't see it. It's 1-1. The crowd then gets quite flat. It's almost like we're behind, but we weren't behind. We didn't react to it. And it's not long after that the penalty is given. But Dyche is foreseeing the fact that Everton is suffering in the corners of the box, and wants to switch to 5 to allow Mykolenko to go out and play wider and bring in an extra centre half to back up that fullback. So Dyche was on the ball with that substitution, but it was just too late, and
2-1.
It
it
was
was
2-1
2-1.
when he brought on Keane and
He was
Calvert-Lewin.
about to make that substitution, and the penalty had just been given.
Is that true?
I think so. David Gowndry saying, in fairness, it was a great strike. It was a great goal, Peter. We can't take anything away from it. It just feels frustrated. That penalty. I'm going to speak first on this because me
Well,
and
if you're
David.
going to concede a goal to City, do it like that. Don't make it a deflected goal or something. For me, it was the penalty that changed the game because I felt that a 1-1, we would have probably still given them a good game and stayed quite close to them.
Yeah.
Kind of
We
remind.
took it away, right? Because once City go ahead, it's very hard to get the ball off them. You're only going to see it 10, 15 times. And we have a habit of just giving it straight back to them, panicking.
City,
When we actually got the ball and
City
played and
almost looked
pressed, we
like
were
they had an
great.
extra man at times, which kind of illustrated the dominance. And it seemed like we were chasing shadows. I think Onana had a really poor game. I mean, it was hard for him. It was almost like, when you've got a team that's either fitter or technically better, and you're
Yeah,
just
he wasn't
chasing it,
involved at all.
just
He
couldn't
wasn't
get
involved
it.
at
I
all.
mean, it wasn't just him. There were other players. Garner did quite well for the goal in the lead up to our goal, but other than that, I
You're
think it was
wandering
quite
off, Steve.
a
I'm
hard
asking
game
you
for our
about the penalty.
midfield.
I'm asking you about the penalty. I mean, for me and David, we were right behind it. It looked like a really good kind of block, quite close to the ball, whacked at him. Where else can he possibly go? And then we were shocked because it looked like it was a brilliant block. The City players then surround the ref, and the ref changes his decision almost instantly. I mean, David, just because you were right next to it, and then Steve will get your perspective. Dave, you couldn't believe it, could you?
No, I did feel like there was 10 City players that put their arms both in the air, screamed over to the referee, went round him, which is against the rules. You're meant to get a booking. Only the captain's allowed to talk to the referee. And they all went round the referee, and then a second later, he gave the thing. Apparently, it was the linesman who made the decision. I've not heard of many decisions being overruled of this nature by a linesman, but obviously, once that decision's made, then he's only going to get a look, the ref, if it's going to be ruled out, if he's going to go to the screen. So I think at that point it's kind of taken out the ref's hands and it's all on the assistant. But for me, yeah, the ball was very closely struck to Onana. He's trying to block the ball. It doesn't seem like a deliberate attempt to go out and push it away. So I thought it was incredibly harsh and frustrating.
Steve, can you add to that? I know it's difficult from down the end, but have you seen a replay of
Well,
this?
from our end, everyone was furious because of the nature of the decision and the fact that people crowded the referee. I mean, I didn't see it clearly, and all 4 goals were in the park end today, so it made for a better advantage for you. Although I might have seen different things down the other end,
They didn't
but
want
I couldn't see it clear enough, and I've seen the replay, and I'd like to look at it again. To be honest, I just felt like it's one of those things where it's like pressure around the referee. It's Man City. They were kind of likely to give it, but would it have been given if it was the other way around? We just don't know.
No, we've seen it. Rodri handball. It's bloody typical, isn't it? The penalty was a fucking joke. The handball rule is just a load of bollocks. The referee didn't even use VAR to check. Barry saying we need to chill. People need to chill. We're not playing badly. We're not playing badly at all, Barry. And I think, if we'd have got a draw, I'm pretty sure people wouldn't have batted an eyelid. It was just that penalty changed the game, and then
I
the
think
ref.
when you
Have we got
when you're
anything?
at the game, you think, oh, 1-0, we can defend that. The hope kills you, of course. 1-1, you think, okay, well, a point would be an excellent point here. 2-1, you just think, oh, how are we going to get back in this? And obviously, the killer one is the third goal, which a lot of people started to leave at that point.
At 2-1, what was Everton's response like? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't too impressed. I thought we were pressing and pressing. We did make the substitutions. The 5 at the back gave us more stability. But how City, they kind of pen you in and get 3 players around you and try and win it back as fast as possible.
They win the ball very, very quickly. You're spot on there, Ryan. They don't allow you to really get time on the ball at all,
No.
even when they're winning 3-1. We brought on Calvert-Lewin and we brought on Keane, and he went to a back 3 with obviously pushed on fullbacks. I thought Mikalenko was one of very few excellent Everton players today who played quite well. I mean, that's subjective, of course, but I felt like we struggled. Better did okay. He's up front on his own. He's trying to play off the shoulder most of the time. But Calvert-Lewin came on for Beto, and he put himself about, but it was hard. At that point, Everton seemed to have a more direct game plan, and we looked more effective. But it was almost like the fear had been kind of taken away from us at that point. Like we didn't have that fear factor and that respect
Nothing to
factor.
lose.
Yeah, that kind of
Feeling,
feeling, wasn't it?
there was no De Bruyne, there was no Haaland, there was some quality players, but I wouldn't say that Man City side was starstruck. That look a bit disjointed in
They're
defence.
so well drilled, though, aren't they?
Why?
They've got an Argentinian World Cup winner. They've got several flair players in midfield that would walk into most Premier League sides. They're just technically very well drilled, aren't they?
Can I ask you why we were unable to play out of that press? There was a lot of time where City would get 3 players on, for example, Jack Harrison, and we couldn't switch the play over to the side where Everton would have an advantage because it was something me and David saw. Is that just a lack of ability or a lack of awareness, or just City just do good at pressing you?
I saw a lot of that triangular play, and Everton really struggled to play any meaningful football today. We were competitive in the game, and we tried to stay with them. But when we had the ball and we only had 27% of possession, we really couldn't do a lot with it because we were hunted down. I mean, they are so well drilled by Pep Guardiola. It's his managerial ability that's helped him attract the best players, and with their best players, they have time on the ball, they have quality.
The fair play charges against them for repeatedly.
Yeah, they have 116 now because they're crowding the referee, so that's another one to sort.
Steve, you spot on with what you're saying. We've got people in the comments. They want to talk about the 3rd goal, of course. I mean, for me, it looked like I said to David, we've dropped the intensity. We're 2-1 down, but we've still got 10 minutes left with stoppage time potentially. and the throw's back to the keeper. He takes a stupid touch. Instead of getting rid of it, he hits it
It's a
straight.
throw to Brantwaite.
It was very stupid, and he chips him, and he's never near. It's plain stupidity. David, you were right behind it. What were your thoughts?
I was assessing the situation, and Mikalenko has a throw in. He doesn't want to throw it really forward to Calvert-Lewin because I think he thinks it's gonna bounce off and we'll lose it or whatever. I can kind of see what he's thinking, so he's thinking, let's go back. So he goes back to Brantwaite, tries to throw it down to his feet, and I think he rolls in Pickford, and then Pickford, does he make a short pass out, and he just goes to Bernardo Silva, and it's basically an open goal. But he's got the quality to just bend it in to the corner, and I think it's just a Pickford mistake, isn't it? It should have
It's a
gone
howler.
long.
It's an absolute
He
howler.
should have gone long
Says
with the ball.
Pickford
Just
was
chuck
pretty.
it up.
Steve, do you think it was a howler?
He
Well,
didn't
I
see
just
it.
saw the ball in the back of the net, right, as many people would have from that end of the pitch. I mean, I was sort of towards the Goddard Street and the lower Bullen, so from there it's quite hard to actually.
If you don't like it, you don't have to sit there. I asked him when I sat there once. I said, "Have you ever missed any goals here?" He said, "No." In that exact match, I missed a goal. I think Arsenal scored 1-0. So I knew he was just saying a load of rubbish. You missed all the
No,
goals.
it's okay. I'm very grateful to go to the game today. And I saw the vast majority of the game. There's very, very little that you don't see. But of course, if the ball is around about that post and it's just one post, that is exactly where it was today when Pickford had it. So all I saw was the ball in the net. Well, I was like, how on earth has this happened? You know, that sort of stunned moment of silence where it seems to happen in slow motion. That was kind of how that third
I
goal
think there
unlocked it.
might have been a slight relief that we could have got a goal back if we had
Yeah,
Yeah,
been a bit,
I believe
we
scrappy
did
in
get
that
more.
last 10 minutes. We had a chance
We
to
did
get
seem to get a bit
2-2.
more width.
the reaction from the Everton players after the third goal was complete disarray. I mean, Branthwaite could not believe the stupidity, and that was it. 3-1. The game's gone. The frustrations there. Pickford,
Missed his head.
we looked at his body language and he was consoled by Bernardo Silva. You could see he was distraught, but to be fair, we were already 2-1 down. There's a lot of variables that can happen in football. We said to David when John Stones got injured, Beto was a fraction from being onside and possibly going through. There's very small margins, but I do think
I always felt like Beto had a chance playing off the shoulder. He looked lively, and it was quite a brave decision to put him in, but I think it was the right one today to give Dominic Calvert-Lewin a rest with two big games back to back and give Beto a chance. And Beto, on a different night, could have got through on one of those.
weren't great balls. To be fair, I mean,
He
if I
didn't have
gave
great
Pickford,
service.
I think we massively are missing Decore.
yeah,
It almost feels like a disjointed, like everything's set up really well, but that kind of support striker number 10 position is really kind of lacking in Everton's lineup
It's the
right now.
second balls. The
well, it
second
worked
balls are just
Spurs.
Just the
massively
creativity thing.
lost.
It
Garner
worked
can
against
put through
Spurs.
the.
The Andre Gomez one against Spurs worked. He got acres of time. He dictated play. In this game, when we're not going to have a lot of the ball, he's not going to be as effective. I thought maybe he can spring some counter attacks. Look, he's put some minutes in. We've lost 2-1. We've lost 3-1. I thought against Spurs we were worth something. I think today, if we'd have got a point, I think some people wouldn't have batted an eyelid at 1-1 and said, I haven't defended resolutely. You're suicidal with your 2 goals. I think Pickford, for me, would get a very low rating if it was doing match reaction. Mikolenko and Patterson would both get 7s.
Well, I mean, to be fair, he nearly saved the penalty, and he did save a double save in the first half.
He nearly saved a lot of penalties in that Carabao Cup tie.
Yeah, I know, but this was like, if you watched back the double save in the first half, it was an
We have
excellent
to
double
see it.
save.
Yeah,
At that
Was it?
point, you go 1-0 down. I mean, we were 1-0 up. Unfortunately, we just couldn't keep the lead long enough in this
Couldn't
game.
keep the ball for more than 5 minutes at times.
We
The
didn't
switch.
keep the ball. I'm
that's
surprised that
definitely.
we had as much as 27% of the ball.
Duggan
I
just
just
thinks
want.
one was a top quality goal. But Barry says he should have saved that. There's a small gap. We should have had it covered. Dan Juma came on late sub. Everton chased at 3-1 down, but we couldn't really get a grip of the ball. City just slowed it down, and that's that. Everton lose again. Where do we go from here?
I just
Yeah,
wanted to touch on briefly
go on.
before you move on. The Man City's the Pep Guardiola school of thought, not just the pretty football and the passing and the probing and the tactics, but the dirty and the gritty, and it's something Arteta took into Arsenal in that first year. He tried to implement something Everton just don't have. The ability 30 minutes in when Everton are really on the up and the crowd are up and the momentum's with them to then Stones. I don't know if he really was that badly injured, but it's just clever, isn't it? Just stay down, kill time. I
It
know
was
he went off, so he probably was injured, but just kill the time, kill the game. He
Seemed like there was
killed our momentum.
not just him, the Grealish.
Second half, surrounding the referee, making sure all the players go over to make sure it gets a penalty, because we just wouldn't bother, would we? We'd just turn around and go, okay, no penalty. And then, it's just moments like that, just the shithousery that makes it all the difference.
Grealish was another player who was on the floor a lot, rolling around, and I think that they're world champions for a reason. They're Premier League champions as well. They're multiple recent Premier League champions, and they've got a bloody good chance of kind of giving those other teams at the top a run for the money. And City do this every year. They sort of look average in the first half of the season, and then they sort of
switch it on,
get cantered they gallop to the finish near the end and leave the other teams in sight. And I think the likes of Arsenal and those other teams up there may struck. Alexis decided to start talking.
I think
we'll probably find that City might have turned the corner. I think more than 3-1, I think we would have been disappointed, but 3-1 probably, in all fairness, Ryan, it probably was a reflection of the game, that game. Where do we go from here? Well, we've got another match against Wolves on Saturday afternoon. So the games come quite thick and fast, and I think, the Wolves game in theory is more winnable than these last two have been.
It's a tough game, isn't it, with the form Wolves have been on.
Then we play Aston Villa at home and Fulham. Would you take 4 points now?
I think so, because I think Villa are still playing quite decent, and they probably should have won against Man U, but then United just came back.
I saw the second half. I thought it was a real crumble from Villa. It was really poor. They offered so little. So United just pressed onto them, and United deserved to get in that second half. I think Aston Villa at home, I don't expect us to win. I think we can beat Fulham, and I think we can get a draw at Wolves. I think we can even beat Wolves. I just think we've got a way of playing that against these other teams, these mid to lower teams. I think we'll be too good for them. I'm confident. I'm fairly relaxed. I'm a bit disappointed. I said to David at halftime it'll finish 3-1, I think, because I've seen this before, and I know these games are so tight and they're settled by bad decisions and set pieces and sort of the ridiculous outside of the box shots, and we've seen it time and time again. It's another year without beating Man City at home. We go into the Wolves game on the weekend. We need to bounce back from 2 defeats on a Carabao Cup exit. We've got to start winning games. Luton are winning games, and if we don't, I think we'll get our points back. They'll be suspended, but we can't rely on that because you never know.
We didn't create the dozens of chances that we've been doing like an ice hockey team today, but I don't think we expected to. Really, it was just the two main ones, the Harrison and the goal. I'd like to see the stats, but I think we'll create more against Wolves, and I think we'll probably put some of them away.
We did create a Calvert.
I can see us winning at Wolves.
Yeah,
you'd have seen that better than us, but from our end,
the Calvert-Lewin. I thought that was in. So Harrison gets the ball, doesn't he? And it's a beautiful ball in. It seems such a simple move. Ball goes in. He runs past the defender on the wing in the Gladys Street end. Ball goes in first time. Calvert-Lewin gets onto it, and you think it's destined for the goal. I mean, lots of people thought it was going to go in, and of course he misses it. I'd like to see replay, but I think that that was at 2-1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was at 2-1. That could have been.
Was it 3-1?
It was 3-1. That was it. We could still have got it back into the game today, and I think if we're playing if we're playing like this against Man City and Spurs, we should give Wolves a good chance. We seem to be quite good away from home, whether that's the crowd, the lack of pressure, etc. I think that there's a lot of games at the moment we can't really rotate the squad like maybe some of the other teams can. Calvert-Lewin probably come back in, I would think.
Very thin as well. City were very thin. Brian's saying we should have blocked the shots, but we did, Brian, and we get the penalty. We need to watch it back. Steve, Dave, thank you, pleasure. Thanks for joining your audience. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back for the Wolves game. You got everything you want to say off your chest?
Yeah, I think so. I think got to give a bit of credit to City today. And as you say, we shouldn't panic. I think that obviously Luton are on quite good form, and we'll be looking at other results until we get the 10 points back or whatever happens. But I think we just need to bring on Saturday and see if we can pick up the 3 points against Wolves.
David, are we on Patreon? No, we're not on Patreon. What we've done is a membership thing. YouTube.com/, follow Everton /live. And it's just basically a posh way of saying you're donating so we can try and improve the stream, make it better for everyone. So if you're in a position to sort that, get a membership and you'll get a little badge next to your name saying VIP. Thank you very much. Barry's not happy with DCL's form. I agree. He's got to start scoring. Look, let's hope he can get one against Fulham.
He did score a legitimate goal the other day that got disallowed.
Yeah, I agree. That was a goal for me. Thanks, guys. Good night.
All right. Night.